Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Yeah, so, and thank you for the excellent talk. My business, I'll caveat, is not as exciting as this. Okay, so it's pretty boring by comparison. So let me start with this scene. Probably some of you are familiar with this in Delhi. Hmm? How many of you think it's going to get worse? Yeah? Most of us. Yeah. If any consolation, Mumbai is also getting there, so I'm not making a dig at you guys.
And Bangalore too.
And Bangalore too, that's right. So imagine in this scenario, I think if you zoomed in really, the product they needed was this, right? They just had a flimsy little thing, but unfortunately looks like they will need this. And as this problem becomes worse, imagine if you are a distributor of these products. Which one do you think you'd want to carry? Okay, just think about that for a minute. Next story, imagine you're a retailer selling these drills. And let's say if you had 2 drills, probably it's an easy choice, I guess, right? I mean, you just figure out what's the price which is doing well and you'd be in business. But imagine if you had 20,000, how would you know which of those to keep? You know, would you compare prices of all 20,000 and figure out I'll keep the lower one? And now imagine if there are 580 million of those products. How on earth will you figure out which product do you keep, which one do you carry, and which one do you drop? And next, imagine if you're a seller of this perfume and you want to launch this on the whole digital channel. How do you make sure that you launch this effectively? After all, you have only so much fund. How do you make sure you get the right position as you launch this product? So as it happens, these are not just imaginary stories, these are real world situations in which we're encountering. And if you go back to the masks example, the respirator, and I'm sorry, these are all going to be US-centric examples, because that's where my company mostly focuses in. But if you look at the US market, in the respirator for markets, the market for respirators in the US is about $2 billion. And imagine if you don't keep the right one. So as a distributor, it's important that you're able to know which products, the top one are the various products, and you have the substitutes as well as you have similar products based on various attributes of that distributor. Or else you threaten to lose a lot of business. Or take this drill. In the good old days, if you were a retailer, you'd probably rely on just a few things, right? You'd rely on past data that you have. You'd rely on your supplier's input. Or even worse, you rely on your gut or your instinct. But now, you have far more data points to make your decision, right? You have significant comparative product data. You have various other product signals. If you see these product attributes, whole host of, right from the product itself, on the pricing, on the keywords, there are whole host of signals on a given product. If you go to any, and all of you have shopped online, I'm sure. If you go there are over 100 different elements of a product page. Each of those are signals and telling you something about it. So going back, so there are so many of these and this data is growing. And you have access as a retailer to be able to aggregate all this data and make sure you carry the right product. So carrying the products which sell, you know which ones to keep, which ones to carry, or which ones to drop. And finally, if you look at that perfume case that I gave, again, if that's a real life situation where if that retailer who's launching the perfume, and Sephora and Macy's are the 2 channels on which it's selling, it needs to make sure that its share of shelf is there, it's being displayed prominently, and it's getting enough attention by that retail channel, or else the money that you're spending with them is not getting effective. And again, there are analytical tools which are available out there to help you make that decision. So, I think it's clear enough. Yeah. So if you see these 3, the products are very different. Yes, one's a boring drills, one's a sexy perfume, one's a life-saving respirator. But whether you're a manufacturer, a distributor, or a retailer, the thing in common is that you have access through analytics, you have the ability to make decisions like never before. And indeed, it's fair to say that we are in this golden age of analytics. And this is largely driven by and you know, the analytics, I would argue, is at the heart of the so-called 4th Industrial Revolution. You know, Klaus Schwab at World Economic Forum eloquently described last year how we are in the 4th Industrial Revolution, starting with the steam engine, assembly line, then automation and electricity, and now in the age of data analytics. And I think the analytics is at the core of this 4th Industrial Revolution. And as I think some of the speakers have spoken in the last few sessions, this is largely fueled by a confluence of three factors. The rise of data, and I think we've heard various versions of all of this, the rapid advances in machine learning and the advanced techniques therein, as well as the increase in computational power and storage, and all the cost of which is declining dramatically, as we heard in the morning. And all of these are mutually reinforcing. Right? The more data that get created, your algorithms get smarter. The lower the price of storage, greater incentive to, or no disincentive to generate more data. So it's all, these three factors are mutually reinforcing. And this is being used and can unlock value significantly across industries. Whether in this case is the duty-free channel, that's an example where they've nicely segmented customers to optimize revenue. Or in the online travel, using pricing and price elasticity to maximize revenue, or in the retail space, where again using analytics to rationalize your SKUs so that you're dropping poor performing products. And this is done across the business functions and for several use cases, starting from the customer segmentation. It could be eligible bachelor or a product, I mean a customer in this case buying a product. So the pricing, yield, marketing, so across business functions this has applications. And in retail in particular, because that's the world I know best, given the areas we work in, it has significantly disrupted the industry. So on one hand, you have the consumers giving you various signals by way of their activity on e-commerce, the reviews, their ratings that they give, and the activity online or through voice devices, all of them are data signals. And companies, on the other hand, are using those signals to continuously improve their experience to their customers, their product, give the appropriate promotions, and increasingly getting to a point where they can offer and know what to offer to the customer even before he or she knows it. And in retail in particular, this is impacting several functions, right from the product itself and across the, looking at the product line, reviewing it, optimizing the SKUs, improving the private label performance. I won't go through all of that, but it's across the product function, across the channel and sales, and across marketing. And I think we heard some examples just earlier in the speech on how it's used for customer segmentation and better effectiveness. And as we've seen, again, the ones who are pioneers in the use of analytics are significantly rewarded and handsomely rewarded and significantly outperform their peers. And this is a very interesting slide if you see. Across three different industries. There's retail, there's consumer entertainment, and automobile. And look at the companies on the left and the ones on the right. The left are the new age, digitally native companies, if you will, and the right ones have been around for a long time. And each one of them, the new ones, have a far higher market cap than the ones on the left. So although these are across different industries, I think what's common to all of them is that at heart, they are analytics companies. They use data and analytics, which is deeply embedded in every part of the organization. So while a lot of the earlier sessions spoke about data being new oil, but actually if data is the new oil, analytics is the refinery. Because finally it's about creating value from the raw material. So if you look at some, in terms of where this is headed, again, I'm not talking about mega trends of analytics and large, but more focusing on marketing, since that's, I guess, the focus of this conclave. Just spoke about few trends. Again, this is not meant to be mutually exhaustive, but just some things where we're seeing happening out there. The first one being hyper-personalization, and I think we spoke a little bit about it in the earlier ones. But if you see how it's evolved and how marketing has evolved, clearly starting from the broadcast days, which is long over. But from broadcasting to macro segmentation, we heard about micro segmentation just some time ago. And then getting to one-on-one, again, which is already happening, although some speakers said is dead. And getting to a point where it will be dynamically personalized to each individual by situation and will change depending on how the moment changes. So for you, Janki, imagine if you're someone who divorced gets another message saying that now is the time to look at it. That's dynamic personalization for you.
What's the cooling time period between?
Possibly. That also depends.
Oh, I see.
So I'll share two quick examples on some of this. And one is this company called IndoChino, which is again a company which make personalized suits, and I'm wearing one of those. And they did this business, this CEO who I met, he said he created this business to solve one big problem, or the biggest problem in apparel, which is one of fit. And they wanted to remove the elitism or exclusivity attached to made to measure. So through a combination of outsourced operations in China and heavy use of analytics, he created this company which takes about 36 different points of measurement. As you can see, it's the notch, the buttons, this, and as if choosing on the outside was not complicated enough for guys, they also had you to choose inside what fabric you want, this you want. Sometimes I wish for men they had few choices, but 36 points of measurement. So either you go into a store first or you just go online, and then thereafter it keeps recommending products to you. But I think this is a company which is at another level altogether. I think it's fair to say this is more a technology company masquerading as a fashion company and not the other way around. It's called Stitch Fix, which again offers personalized apparel for women. And again, much like that, they've broken down a product into 50 to 75 attributes per product item. For an individual, about again 30 odd measurement points, and as well as of course the recommendations and which stylist he or she should be recommended to add that little curation at the end. So phenomenal example of this one-to-one. The next trend, so we spoke about hyper personalization. The other one we see coming is AI-generated marketing content. We're all familiar with writing content the way it's done today, but increasingly, as private labels proliferate, they're not branded, and quite often private label products don't have ready descriptions. And in the day and age of Amazon, where anything which is national branded products can easily be price compared, so people are increasingly going to private label. But the problem with that is to generate content which is unique and which is exhaustive. So increasingly we are seeing through the use of image recognition and NLP techniques, AI generated marketing content. So as an example like this, where the image is taken from the packaging, just a photograph of this black lamp, and through the image recognition and ALP it extracts the attributes and writes down certain content which is personalized and which can be changed every time. So next time someone's selling a black lamp, it won't be the same description, it will be another unique one to that case. And again, in the process, what otherwise would have taken a manual effort over 10 days to get the box, see what's in it, have someone write it, is reduced to just a matter of few hours. Then proliferation of chatbots is the next thing which is already beginning to happen, and whether it's for pizza delivery, where again the chatbot has all the history, so if you just say reorder, it knows what your last order was and orders it. Or in this case, just going to a restaurant, again your previous orders will come out and recommendations are given. Or even for that matter in government. After all, we are also customers of sorts, and this is an example of for the passport service. So again, chatbots, which had its origins in the e-commerce, early days of e-commerce, more to make mundane tasks routine, have now become mainstream and can be used for more value-added stuff. And finally, the next one being voice, which is clearly the new frontier for brand marketing. And it's pretty fair to say that voice is the new search. Yeah. And as increasingly people start searching and ordering by speaking, imagine what that means for the brand marketers, right? Who are so used to the earlier world. What happens to search? Earlier in a search world, you're okay if you come up in the first 10 or maybe at worst second page. In voice, you can't imagine being after more than 2 or 3 choices. You don't want to be there. So what does that mean? What sort of content they have to create, etc., etc. And this is only the examples are of speakers. Imagine when voice is embedded into various devices, right through your refrigerator, through your car, you can reorder stuff, or the washing machine. It's a whole new paradigm. So that's again a big impact for various marketers. So while we spoke about these 4 trends, which is hyper-personalization, AI-generated content, proliferation of chatbots, and voice, what's important though, there's still room, not just room, but the need for humans are always going to remain. There's increasing talk and fear. with Elon Musk on one side and Zuckerberg on the other on this whole AI stuff and whether machine will rule the man, but I don't think so. Firstly, like they say, artificial intelligence is no substitute for natural stupidity. Need for persons are always going to be there. And therefore, I would argue that the definition of AI would no longer be artificial intelligence, but more be augmented intelligence. I think you are going to need human beings for various reasons, for the domain and for making judgment, along with all the efficiencies that machines bring in. And in that paradigm, individuals with these kind of characteristics and having a multidisciplinary expertise will be the ones who will thrive. So for a lot of you here who probably want to get a sense in terms of how to succeed in this world, I think it's no longer now just being a techie or being a business guy. You will need to have a multidisciplinary expertise. You'll have to understand technology. Can't be shy away from that. Have to understand analytical and statistical techniques. Understand the business problem. And have that consultating approach towards client. Because at the end of the day, you're solving problem, right? It's the problem which will help you. Understanding the problem determines what algorithm to use and not the other way around. So having this multidisciplinary expertise is very important. And
just 1 minute, just 1 minute remaining.
Oh, okay, yeah, great. So that's my 1 minute plug into Ugam. Because those are exactly the kind of people that we have and exactly those kind of use cases that we solve, and that's my last 1 minute plug on Ugam, which is an analytics company helping solve these various business problems for companies in the B2C, B2B and online space, in the research space. We've been around for 18 years, have a global presence and trusted by some of the world's leading companies whose logos I'm not supposed to share and hence they're blurred. And I'm proud of the fact that we're trusted by these global companies and also recognized as industry experts. And Ugam is featured in this analysis of insights providers right on top as a vertical specialist out there. And we do this by using a unique blend of technology and services. And if any of this, all that you saw, you liked, and all that you heard you liked, please come visit us. We might just not let you go back. All right, thank you. Thank you for your attention.